What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the fourth album by Lil Jon and the East Side Boyz. Basically, this product is called Kings of Crunk, and it came out in the fall of 2002. So basically, Lil Jon has started to get like a burgeoning popularity in the early 2000s with the particular pitch of a hit album, Put Your Hood Up from 2001. Had some initial bubblers on there, but this is more of like the breakout album, even though probably Crunk Juice was like the masterful type. Even though Crunk Juice might be seen as like Lil Jon's apex, at least in like the mid 2000s, I'd probably say that this was like another classic. This was probably possibly like either Lil Jon's Marshall. If like Crunk Juice was like Lil Jon's Eminem show, I'd probably say that Kings of Crunk was probably like Lil Jon's Marshall Mathers LP. This is a classic album here, definitely, especially in Crunk music. This pitch is like that, this real classic appeal. So overall has boisterous type stuff on here, plenty of good stuff. Just expanded upon Lil Jon's sound. Had four singles on here and within a relative pitch. I mean, some of these did kind of chart modestly, but at least by the time he dropped the single Get Low, he was basically becoming like a household name and had like the Midas touch. Lil Jon also found a series of people throughout 2003, 2004. I want to say he helped out with Petey Pablo. He helped out with Petey Pablo in 2004. He helped out with Ciara in 2004. He helped out with Lil Scrappy, Bo Hagen, and Trillville, some of those type of folks. So he found a series of folks throughout 2003, 2004, but this was an album that helped solidify things a lot further and kind of get Lil Jon to household name territory. So this definitely, like I was saying, this is a classic album here. Definitely like the impact of it. More so than like Put Your Hood Up, even though Put Your Hood Up from 2001 definitely had like some hits on there like Bia Bia, but I think it probably just needed like a couple more singles as far as that pitch can happen. But I still think that's a pretty good album. But this particular album has the budget, pitches like that. It's just an excellent type concept. Just yeah, it's just this is kind of an underappreciated type album. I would definitely have to say it's kind of the concept. I look after it. Like it went double platinum as far as that particular kind of went. And Lil Jon was hugely popular. And Lil Jon was hugely popular 20, 22 years ago, pitches like that. But it's still the concept that I do think, possibly considering all the impact that Lil Jon had in the early 2000s, that this might have underperformed a bit. So it's kind of the concept's the same thing with Crunk Juice. I'd say that is an extremely stellar project. But I look after it, I don't know. It feels like these should be like 3, 4, and possibly even 5 times platinum, considering all the noise that was kind of made, just the impact Lil Jon had. But I look after it, yeah, definitely had some gems on here. So what this did for Crunk music was just kind of the concept that it helped solidify things. This one, more like if there were tastes of this particular type of stuff on like Put Your Hood Up from 2001, I feel like this is really mastered upon with this particular one. This has a lot of good stuff on here, even if it doesn't have like another gigantic, this widespread mainstream type hit like Get Low on here. I would still have to say that like just like Dave Chappelle said about Lil Jon back in 2004. I mean, Lil Jon's energy is definitely hugely infectious. It's very affable, makes you even if you like you could be at Barnes and Noble, you could be at like this like Panera Bread, some places like that. You could be in a suit, tuxedo, something like that, and Lil Jon could make you want to get crunk and just want to stand on couches and scream and that sort of stuff. As far as pitches like that kind of happen, just a real excellent aspect to kind of get to some of that. This really has Apple type energy, very infectious. Just the aspect behind it is real aspects of this particular stage. He just mastered like the true concept of being like a thrilling hype man and pitches like that, and just the ability to do it. Let's look after this real affable type one. That's the thing. I mean, that's kind of why Lil Jon is sorely missed in like these particular type times. It's just because there's not like you do get some folks that will probably sample like Lil Jon, some of the things that he did back in the early 2000s. But I look after it in terms of like that same affable type energy of like a song like I Don't Give a Fuck or Knocking Heads Off or Throw It Up or some of those type ones. Push That Nigga, Push That Hoe. Some of these type ones, Get Low even. I just feel like a lot of this is just, that energy is just something that, that energy is definitely something that I think today, I think it probably has some of that energy, just of course, but just the impact of just nailing within a classic album is just excellent on here. I'm not going to say that 2020's music doesn't have that because I know there's some TikTok songs. I know there's like some Instagram songs in 2020's music that does have some of that energy just in that pitch, but I look after it. Yeah, this is just a classic album, just wall to wall, basically. And yeah, just out of 13 songs on here, yeah, or out of 14 songs on here, one of which is just kind of like a skit song. So out of basically 13 songs in here, I wound up recommending 12. So yeah, this album is going to get a 10 out of 10. Just being able to say that. I'll go ahead and talk about the single. So the first single is Play No Games. This is a pretty nice one. It's like a breezy kind of summer balminess, I would have to say about this one. It's like a basic kind of outdoor stroll and peppy day kind of vacay type music. I would definitely feel like smoke some good and cruise out, I'd have to say. Do you like the cruise appeal of this particular one? It's real nice one to kind of get here. This real kind of balminess. It's really like the concept of some of that. This in particular is interesting that Trick Daddy and I want to say Fat Joe are on here. Play No Games is a song that came out a year before Lil Jon had dropped this particular album, so it's kind of the pitch behind it, I think. Like this is a good song, but it's just kind of a modest bop in terms of that relative appeal. I think by the time he got to songs like I Don't Give a Fuck and Get Low, some of those type pitches, those are the ones that kind of define Lil Jon more. And that's the thing about this particular project. It just kind of had some affable appeal, but it was kind of like a sleeper type hit where it started to hit people a lot later. Which, you know, Lil Jon was popular 2001 just with songs like Bia Bia, but that was kind of like, I don't want to say a flash in the pan, but it just didn't really have like, it seemingly didn't have like the follow up singles. I know it didn't have like 4 singles, something like that, possibly even 3 singles back in 2001, but Bia Bia was definitely a good look. But yeah, it was. I mean, I Don't Give a Fuck was definitely a good moment, and then Get Low was like the huge one that just Lil Jon was just known everywhere by that particular point. But I just look after it. Play No Games definitely a good buzz single just for like some summer vacay type tones to kind of get. But I Don't Give a Fuck was the second single. It's a real nice one. It's like a perfect kind of get crunk and completely tore up fun of a song. I'd had to say this song is crazy as shit, and it's a get loud kind of noise maker. I'd had to say just an excellent type concept kind of get here. Some perfect folks to kind of have on this song as well. Crazy Bonus on here, which is a pretty good pitch. He raps real quick on this particular song, just really nails it. It's that vintage type song kind of get, just like when Crazy Bone was on Riding Dirty by Chameleonaire, just some good pitches for that in particular. But then Mystical, who's a stock kind of powder keg, loose cannon, is just on this song as well, which is a pretty excellent type pitch. So this is definitely, you combine Mystical's kind of pop off energy with Crazy Bones' crazy energy, just in his shredding lyricism. Then you combine that with Lil Jon's hype man and just overall craze feralness. And this just works as like the complete one of the most dynamite songs off this particular album. This is an immediate one to go for. This easily has the casual type of appeal. If you're just looking for that weekend relief, some pitches like that, if work has been a bitch and you need something just that sort of tone, or just in general, just the concept of just smoke like, you know, several zones, some pitches like that, just the concept of just getting hella tore up, just the ability to just complete relief, just to be able to pop off and just have like an excellent type tone. I have to say it's just some good concepts here. Just classic early 2000s highlight, and one of Lil Jon's best songs even to this day. Nothing's Free was kind of a single. This one is not as talked about as much, but it is a nice one to kind of get here. It's a good pitch to kind of have. It's kind of an in-between type song, similar to Play No Games, a little bit more of like a buzz song compared to Play No Games, but it is a nice one. This is like a hazy kind of in-between mellow day, I would have to say about this particular one. It reminds me of like TLC and like an R&B hop type tone, I'd have to suppose. Ubi does a pretty good job with that. It's like a BZ kind of standard day type stuff as far as that particular pitch, and my BZ, this ladies type fare as far as that pitch kind of goes along with it. And this is like some lackadaisical type errands, I'd have to say. So it's a good concept for that. Just out and about, just standard fare, just in more just relative type tone, just kind of vanilla day, I would have to say. Just look after the concept where it's not as much full blown designated to like an errands type tone, but just a concept of just standard ladies type fare, just cruising around. It's kind of a vanilla type day, not necessarily smoking up, getting held tore up, just like the standard crunk of most of this particular album, but just a standard, just regular, not much noteworthy kind of day, I'd have to say, but it is a good concept kind of have it. And then of course Get Low is the 4th single, and this is the stock song off this particular album. It says over 530 million plays on Spotify. Just sheer highlight, I'd have to say. It's like a feral club splitter of a song, I'd have to say. Classic early 2000s smash, I would definitely feel like, and it's like an easy Kickstarter and dance craze of a song, I'd have to say. A good song to get hella crunk to, I'd have to suppose. Ying Yang Twins are on this particular song. Excellent team up. They're definitely, I do like, I mean, obviously these Lil Jon Ying Yang Twins team ups are pretty, I mean, obviously these Ying Yang Twins and Lil Jon team ups are classic as far as that pitch kind of happens, but there definitely need to be more of these in recent times. I know they didn't want to overdo it at that particular time. I want to say that Ying Yang Twins weren't actually on Crunk Juice as far as that particular pitch kind of went. That would have been a pretty good concept to have gotten that. I know they at least did Salt Shaker also in 2003, like a few months later, but I look after just being able to say that. It just makes me question if they would have had another hit in them, because I want to say that Lil Jon was on at least Ying Yang Twins' 2009 album, but I don't know how many full blown other hits that Lil Jon and Ying Yang Twins had as like a team of. I want to say Lil Jon was also on Ying Yang Twins' 2005 album, but this is classic highlight here, just stock energy, just vanilla type tone. And another thing about this particular album is Lil Jon produces this whole album, so all of these productions on here is not brought to you by like Jazzy Faye or like Timbaland or some of those type folks, or just folks like that, the Neptunes. This is actually Lil Jon nailing these particular beats, and Get Low just feels like a vanilla kind of early 2000s club bop, just real standard thrilling type one, just dance craze to get. Play No Games, just like a real vacay type balminess. Nothing's Free is kind of like just kind of a mellow kind of vanilla day, and then I Don't Give a Fuck is like a standard rumbler that just kind of has like some real shrouded in this overall this shrill type crunkness to kind of get, and maybe not shrill, but this overall boisterous and this carnivorous. Yeah, so basically out of 13 songs in here, I'm not going to count the song Weed Man because that's just kind of like a skit type song that is kind of in a song type format, but it's actually not on the Spotify edition. So Lil Jon removed that song from the Spotify edition, but I looked it up on YouTube. It's really not that much of a highlight of a song. I'm not going to slash that from the score because it's not on the Spotify edition, but it's just kind of the concept that it's kind of one that's still there, but it just was kind of a clumsy type one. And then the other song that I don't recommend on here is just BME Click, the last song that you hear on here, which is just kind of like, I mean, that one, BME Click, just has like some outro type energy, just trying to be like a noise starter, but just kind of in a more wind down type mode. But I just didn't appreciate that one. So that's really the only song off this whole project I didn't appreciate. So yeah, this is a class. It's definitely like a classic album. 10 out of 10 score, I would easily have to say. Just all these songs just sailingly are good. It's plenty of good party starters pitches like that. Crunk energy, plenty of good lady songs on here. Just that sort of aspect. This really nails that and eviscerates it as far as that particular kind of goes. But yeah, we'll talk about some of these. So Knocking Heads Off is a pretty nice one. This has Styles P and Jadakiss on there, which is a pretty nice pitch. It's like a creeping kind of raucous crunk feralness about this song. I particularly had to say it's about as crazy as I Don't Give a Fuck. I would definitely feel like this in a more night type tone. I feel like I Don't Give a Fuck's more like 4:30, 5:30, 6:30 p.m. evening relief. I'd have to say, but Knocking Heads Off is more night type pitch. Basic nightclub type turn. Knocking Heads Off is basic nightclub type turn up. I'd have to say just some vicious lyricism that suits this particular song. I'd have to say, so it's a good concept kind of get some of these folks on here. Definitely appreciate this one pretty well. Lil Jon combined with his height, Lil Jon with his raw type energy, along with Jadakiss and Styles P, just makes for an overall gnarled and just completely carnivorous type song. Definitely what I'd say. Repio City's another nice one. Repio City's a nice one. It's like a stock and factory crunk music highlight, I'd have to say in particular. It's like a throwback to early 2000s lunacy, I would feel like. Get drunk, go haywire, some of those type pitches, I'd have to say. So this one, I want to say that this might have been on like the Put Your Hood Up from 2001. I'm not sure. I want to say that Lil Jon repeated some songs from his 2000 album on his 2001 album. So this kind of feels like some of these were either 2001 leftovers. I mean, either way, this is an excellent type song to kind of get here. But I just look after this, the concept behind it. It's a real stock and crazy type one. I mean, yeah, this is just easily like a vicious type album. Just the concept of this. I mean, when you talk about crunk music, obviously Lil Jon is one of the originators of crunk, apart from 3 6 Mafia. So it's just kind of the concept that, of course, he would be a master of some of these type ones that just get you up and out your seat. So Rep Your City is just a nice one for that. This you're gonna see that there's like a series of these just back to back to back to back. I Don't Give a Fuck, Get Low, Knocking Heads Off, Rep Your City, Throw It Up, Bitch, Push That Nigga, Push That Hoe, some of those type ones. At least 7, 8 of these songs on here that are going to have that particular type energy. But Throw It Up is another nice one. It's like a gnarled kind of get hell tore up craze of a song, I'd have to say. Vintage Lil Jon turn up, I would feel like. Stand on couches, go haywire, and just get crunk, I'd have to suppose in particular. So it's just some nice ones. I mean, these are pretty interchangeable. It's just kind of the concept. I mean, I think just within the tone of a lot of these, you're just going to find that just the energy is just something that just gets you revved and ready to go, just like that. I'd say it's just an excellent type concept to get to a lot of these. As standard crunk type productions on here. It's just kind of the thing. Bitch is a pretty nice one. This is like a slinky kind of strip club and vanilla nightclub hitter. I would definitely feel like it's a good loud sequel to Via Via. Too Short is on this particular song along with China White. Pretty good tone for that. The song Bitch is some infectious bedlam, I'd have to say. So it's a good concept for that. So it's just a pretty nice one. I'm glad that Too Short was on this particular album again. I'm glad that they at least did another song apart from Via Via. I mean, I look after it. This one's probably about as good. Maybe it may not have like the commercial catchiness in this aspect. It's not to say it's a bad song. It's kind of the concept that is a good song. This kind of thing. And I just think in terms of commercial snaps, it's a little bit different. But I definitely feel like this is a great 1-2 punch. Bia Bia and then Bitch are both some excellent type songs on here. So yeah, this album is just throwing wall to wall, like I was saying. It's just kind of the concept that even despite the fact that this album may not have like another huge smash that could have made this album go multi-platinum like Get Low, I would still would say this is a classic easily, I'd have to say. But yeah, Push That Nigga, Push That Hose, another nice one. It's like a standout kind of oozing beat, I'd have to say about this particular one. It's real drooping type ones. And in between kind of club noise, I would feel like this one's not quite as full-blown rowdy, but it's still super crazy, I'd have to say, and it shreds pretty well. So a lot of this particular energy is just kind of the concept. So Lil Jon had secondary type songs on here. It's not secondary in terms of quality, but just secondary songs that just kind of continue to have some of that impact and just for like a standard night that just lasts more than 15 or 20 minutes, I'd have to say. So some good concepts for that. And a classic cruise out type song on here would be Diamonds. This has Bun B and MJG from 8 Ball and MJG on here. It's a gold. This is like a golden kind of cruise out and smoke some good type song on like a glazed day. I would definitely feel like this, like a chopped and screwed kind of flyness. Definitely appreciate that about this particular song. Definitely a good song to grub and just feeling good about it. So just a little bit baked, something like that, or tore up. Just a good concept. Kind of have some of that. Just where, well, on the road, some pitches like that, just kind of cruising out in like a golden type day, getting some Popeyes, some of that type fare, getting some Burger King, some of those type pitches. Captain D's. Just some good concepts to really have some good food and just kind of appreciate like the day malaise in this pitch like that. It's like a relative kind of makeshift type song, but this is kind of in a more grandiose type format, I'd have to say. So it's a good concept. And then there's some lady songs on here which are pretty good. These are some Ubi songs. I do like these team ups. So Nothing On is like a jivey and kind of thrilling evening neighborhood on the town, I would feel like. It's definitely like a ladies smoke a bit type song. Smoke a bit with some smoke a bit with some gals as far as pitch like that kind of happen to standard crunk type fare and like a more relative residential type sense, I'd say. And it's like some after, this is definitely like a good after hours type vibe to kind of pitch as far as that particular kind of happens. So just standard fare, just another kind of pedestrian type day, just another vanilla type day with just with the standard fare about it, just kind of more chit chat, kind of simp type song, kind of get in particular. It's just a good concept for that. I feel like another song like that is kind of Nothing's Free. So some of those type ones just kind of have some of those type tones that just like vanilla. And I do like some of these in between type moments just to kind of say that it's not all this standard complete shrouded this complete shrill craze tore upness to like lady songs and just the switch. I mean, there's like some in between type moments of just like where you're not 10 out of 10 craziness, but it's like also not full blown kind of dis fuck mode as far as pitch like that kind of happen. Just some in between where there's going to be some chit chat, small talk pitches like that. Just good concept. So just kind of for like some vanilla type days it has supposed, but there is definitely a slow jam on here, which is a pretty good pitch. It's like ooh na 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 na. It's like an after hours kind of crunk slow jam. I would definitely feel like classic Ubi Lil Jon hit. I would definitely have to say the song is melodic and it's a good and the song is melodic and it's a good bleary vibe to kind of get here. So I do appreciate the concept of this one. Just would have to say dinner type tore upness. I want to say that there was like some songs like this off of like Crunk Juice as far as pitches like that kind of happens. It's been a little while since I full blown listened to Crunk Juice, but I look after it. Like, I mean, obviously a song like Lovers and Friends from Crunk Juice, some of those type pitches and Bitches Ain't Shit, some of those type ones as far as that particular kind of goes. I look after the standard type fare, just getting to some of those. But yeah, definite more bedroom boom, slow jam type tone as far as that particular pitch kind of goes. The song is really R&B and melodic like this, more of like a Ubi type song, more so than full blown Lil Jon on here, but he is kind of on it, so it's a good concept to kind of have there. But so yeah, that's the basic tone about this particular album. So like I said, classic score, 10 out of 10 as far as that pitch can happen. The social score, I'm going to go ahead and give a 10 out of 10 also because there's just so many blistering type crunk songs on here as far as that pitch kind of goes along with it. There's plenty of these, like I said, more than at least 7 songs out of 12 on here have like that rowdy kind of stand on couches, get completely tore up and just get real ravenous and pitches like that. Just the energy is just very infectious, just sparks things, and it's a very good conduit for having an excellent type time and just getting towards it. Like some weekend type thrills. If you want to get people revved up and just get to that craze factor, this is a good avenue to turn. And a lot of this is not that it doesn't really show its age. I feel like despite the fact that it's over 20 years old, I look after the concept of just being able to say that some of this really has like the appeal of just getting things revved and just being able to say, I mean, obviously, if you're really TikTok centric or something like that, or if you're more just Instagram, TikTok, Twitter centric, some of those type pitches, and you're just more familiar with like the quicker, snappier songs nowadays. But a lot of this, I don't think that Lil Jon should really struggle to keep your attention. I would definitely feel like so. It's just kind of the concept, and that includes it, for older folks as well. It just kind of has that thrill of energy. So it kind of happens to be a thing, but I look after it. So the social score is going to get a 10 out of 10. In terms of the future, like Lil Jon has not put out an album since basically 2010, which is unfortunate. I know for a while there he was going to drop an album in like 2011 called Party Animal, which never came out, which is really too bad. He dropped like some hit singles throughout the 2010s, like Turned Down for What. It's too bad that he didn't at least put out an EP or something like that with some of those songs on there. But I look after there are some more Lil Jon albums to get. There are some more Lil Jon albums to get to. I'm definitely going to get to Put Your Hood Up, some of those type pitches. And there's actually an album from Lil Jon that came out in 2003 that's kind of like a pseudo album. Don't really know the true origin of that particular one, but it's called Certified Crunk. So I'm going to get to some of those type ones. But yeah, this is a classic album, easily wall to wall. This very impactful, revolutionary type album that helped amalgamate crunk music in like the early 2000s and like I said, it's kind of underappreciated nowadays, but it's just a thrill, excellent jolt of energy, and just yeah, it's just basically a very impactful early 2000s rap album.